Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Talladega Superspeedway in Lincoln County, Alabama. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Season 4 from the Talladega Superspeedway for Feature Race 6B main action heading your way. We're glad to have you with us up at the LSRTV broadcast booth this evening. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Laura Lawson down at the production hauler. Push the buttons and get us on the air this evening. We get set for round number 6, and it's our feature race here, the final one that we'll call normal. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming up on this Season 4 schedule with iSuperspeedway.com. Daytona circa 07 in 1 week's time, followed by one of our feature races, which means more IROC racing is back, but this evening, it's back to business, and we need to determine the rest of the drivers that are going to get their ticket into the A-main event and fight for the hardware, fight for the points, and all that good stuff. Corey Henry will start on pole position for this one, alongside with Chris Bassini. Sean Turner in third, Josh Ball will be fourth in the Lowe's entry. Fifth is Dana Osborne. Donnie Giratano back in P6. Seventh, Jared Haggerty. Tanner Bannon, eighth. Ninth position is Shane McEachin and Tommy Hall rounding out your top 10. You got Matt Pelletier in 11th. 12th is Daniel Ferguson. 13th, Ron Thompson. Mark Brown will start in 14th. 15th is Rod Mitten. Ramon Evans in 16th. 17th to Kent Connolly. Michael Lathrop in 18th. 19th, Jimmy Todd. And the final car to put down a time at a qualifying session is the 6 of Karsten Giton Tomaso. Austin Carver in on a provisional, and Dan Harrington in on a provisional. The magic number tonight with 22 cars to hit the grid is 16 plus 1, as the back 6 drivers will get in via a provisional. The pace car is down and away, and we're glad to have you with us on LSRTV, going straight into the action. The Bud Light Platinum 25 of Corey Henry leads us to the start-finish line. Green flag flies, and we're racing at the Talladega Superspeedway. 2 wide through the field, the B main is underway. You see the outside is led by the 31 of Chris Bassini. The Pennzoil entry up on the outside is going to be working with that 48. It's an I-5 bonus driver that leads the field right now. You can tell by those orange numbers, if Henry's able to punch his ticket into the A-main and wins it, could be walking away with $35. 4 other drivers eligible for the I-5 bonus week in and week out. We'll talk about that more when we go feature event racing, but the B-main currently working through. No help right now for Dana Osborne in that number 8 Mountain Dew Dewshine Chevrolet. He's kind of slid off at the top 2 on the inside line, and he's still hanging side by side with the 5th or the 31 and the 48. You see the outside, though, again, we always talk about how difficult it is to be successful at these kind of racetracks with the rules package that these drivers have to work with. Drag race to the start-finish line still in favor of Corey Henry. Now everybody groups back up, which is the way the draft works. You get spread out, but not for very long. The outside with the advantage, and I'll tell you, Josh Ball is pushing that to the limit there on the no pushing in the corner. He is right up on the back of the 31 car and going to give the assist to Chris Bassini, and he'll get left for it. Can he fit in line? There may be a small opportunity to do so. No, he can't do it. He tries to jump in line, and he got into the right rear, and we see this time in and time out if you tune in a lot, and that is those guys up on the outside, the guy pushing is not going to be able to get down in line. Sean Turner checks up to allow Josh Ball in line, and the 8 car, Dana Osborne, shoots out of line, and that's going to be very negative for that team because he's up in the 3rd lane and going backwards. Meanwhile, now a 2nd lane for him. Jared Haggerty with help from Tony Giratano, the 29 of Tommy Hall, the 99 up there as well of Daniel Ferguson, and trailed by the 73 of Mark Brown. 5 cars up on the outside lane trying to make something work. They're side by side for second on back for there. The lead is to the inside. That's a 1-car length advantage. Still Chris Bassini. And now you see the 23 and the 2, they get hooked up. They make a run. It's about getting as close as you can on the back bumper in the corner and trying to be able to obviously hook back up right when you come off the banking. The 25, a great job of that. You see Henry just slides off to the point. And now with this new drafting setup, when we talk to the drivers, we talked to them about it, and they've said it, that the guy in front actually has a lot more control over what's going on than they did previously, because the faster way around, believe it or not, is that the guy in the front lifts. It's hard to get to the back bumper, and if he lifts, you're able to hook up, push, and evidently you're going to be going faster. You see that 23 drop down in line. Jared Haggerty looked like he was going to be making some good headway up high with that 2 Giratano. He ducks in line in front of Josh Ball. Ball may have owed somebody something after he was given a spot in line, and evidently a huge checkup came from that. The 2-car gets in behind ball there, so it's going to be a P5 for Donnie Giarratano. Now, for the moment, the top 6 pulling away from the 36, Sean Turner and company. They sit about 7-8 car lengths off of that lead pack. A bit of a checkup down on that single-file freight train that leads at Talladega. 19 laps to determine the 16 plus the 1 provisional. Race control reminding these drivers that if you're leading a lane, you are not allowed to block the momentum of another. So, if you're that 31 machine up on the high side, you cannot jump up in front of that lane on the high side, try to make that pass, and try to slow them down. We've seen that at points it was allowed, and say it didn't work a couple of times at Daytona 1 season ago. That rule has now been implemented, and you are not allowed to go up there and block. Much like you're not allowed to block in most series, it's against the iRacing sporting code. That is not an option now. So really, Chris Bassini not really having as much control over this as he would like. The fact that he needs Corey Henry to get going, and he needs to hope that the 25 is able to keep the engine clear. That's why you see that these guys right now, the top 5 single file, not rushing anything. The 25 is keeping that nose clear to it. He's keeping it nice and cool, and he's able to obviously save those temps so that if we do see somebody try to mount the charge up on the outside line, he'll be able to counteract said fight. That second pack, though, is sliding back significantly after they separated. You see they're kind of starting to split up. Sean Turner looks like he's kind of running away with Tanner Mann. Tommy Hall and Daniel Ferguson have then slid because they're the next 2 cars in what was a 4-car line. They're now 1.3 seconds back in 8th and 9th position. So far, everybody is still on the racetrack. The only car off pace is Karsten DiGiantommaso, who was scheduled to start in 20th position. Did start in the pack, but lost significant time down through corners 1 and 2, and has since lost the draft. He's 11.5 seconds off of the top spot right now on track. Now side by side, because we got some people in that secondary pack that are tired of sitting around. The 27 car to the outside lane, that's Matt Pelletier looking for a good run. Top 5 in practice, gritted up in 11th, is his 12th right now. They go to the outside of the Shane McEachin and Mark Brown train there. It's going to be side by side, 2 sets of them going at it down the back straightaway and into corner number 3, the inside lane with a significant advantage when they go into a corner because you're almost diving down the hill as opposed to going up the banking if you're sitting up on the outside line of the racetrack. You see now 5 cars in it. The 8 machine is there as well, trying to get in the mix as well. Dana Osborne went backwards very quickly at the start of this race, and it was because of a checkup with the number 36 of Sean Turner letting Josh Ball in line. Looked like Osborne would have been sent to a point where he might have been out of this race because he really dropped very quickly. He's now taken over the pushing role for the 22. No, drops down in line and go with the 27 instead, and it looks like Ron Thompson, he will be cleared for the Matt Pelletier. So the air, very interesting in this second pack. Nothing going on up front except for the fact that the lead group is now extended. That secondary 2-car battle has moved up, and they have caught our leader. So now it is a 9-car freight train at the front of the field. 7 of them immediately within 0.4 of a second of each other, and Tommy Hall and Daniel Ferguson significantly closer, just a little bit off the marker there as they try to group up. And without the real lock-in ability of doing a 2-car tandem all the way around this Talladega Super Speedway, it is not that easy to catch a big single-file line. Everybody's going to be quicker. If they're all in line, they're all cooperating with each other. But Ferguson right now doing a great job with Tommy Hall to close in. And you see how hard it is to hold on because we just mentioned that Sean Turner and Tanner Mann had gotten up to those top 5 cars. They slide off a little bit again. They'll be able to get back to them because they're still within striker range. But if you're the last car in a line, if you don't have help, like if we have a situation, see the 36 and the 5, they fell back together. If one of them slid back, they're going to be out of luck because it is so hard to hang on to the draft when you're looking at speeds of 204 miles an hour in the pack across the start-finish line. Our leader's even going up to 205, and typically that's the slowest part on the racetrack if you're in front. So far, clean and green is the name of the game. That's bad news for the people that started at the back of the pack. Right now, it is 16 plus 1 for the transfer. 16th is the 28 of Shane McEachin. He sits there after starting in 9th. Good news for him is there's nobody behind him. Bad news, there's nobody in front of him. Everybody has left him. Rod Mitten's about 2 seconds back from him, but then it's really 5 seconds to the next set of 2 cars, Jimmy Todd and Kent Connolly. Those guys would really need to get going in the 18 and the 088 machines back at 18th and 19th if they expect to catch him and be able to get up there, because if this thing stays green, only now this time by, closing in at like 8-9 laps to go in this event. Not a lot of time, and even for Karsten Giantommaso in the number 6 car, even losing a lap is a possibility because they just have significantly lesser help. We talked about 2 of 4 in the pack. What's the car doing around here when they're by themselves? Well, Shane McEachin just got some help, but you got Karsten Giantommaso running 190. That's 15 miles an hour difference around this Talladega Superspeedway if you're in a pack or if you're riding out there single file with everybody else, or if you're by yourself. It is a significant difference. The question is, it looks like everybody's on it. Typically it's our B mains when we see numbers like 35 cars plus, and they're really scrapping, and it's almost been the B mains that have brought us to more exciting finishes throughout the season than even the A mains right now. With a substantially lower car count than we typically see this evening at Talladega, 22 cars plus X amount of drivers that have just wrapped up at their Dash for Cash, qualifying into the heat races, and then they as well do a Dash for Cash race to determine how they will stack up. The running results in this, so if you win first in this race, qualifying, you're going to be the highest placing car, excluding those drivers that have already locked themselves into the A main. There's a lot going on. Those drivers are already good, but it seems like everybody nice and calm for the moment. How about a battle for the transfer spot? I said Shane McEachin had help from the 92 of Rod Mitten. He'll get out of line, and that could be huge. Here comes the 18 of Jimmy Todd in 18th, Kent Connolly, Austin Carver, and now 4 cars have just passed the 28 machine, and now Shane McEachin is outside of the bubble, and he's on the tail end of this draft that Haviland Ford might even lose. It looks like he may not be able to hang on to it, and Shane McEachin is going to go from being 5 seconds in front of a pack of cars to now 3 seconds off already, dropping substantially, and that right there shows you just how important it is to have help out here on these plate tracks. So far, again, everybody single file up front. It's something that every time you wreck going to be made during a regular season event like tonight, feature race 6. Every time you wreck, you're going to say, guys, you were in 7th place, and me and Petey talk about it all the time, is sure, you want that checkered flag, you want to be able to start a little bit better in the A main, but in reality, you're already qualifying in. We have seen so many times this season that you got guys, and the race car drivers first, they maybe put the logic in the, in the second-hand seat in this, and you're good, you're running 7th and 8th, and you make contact because you go side by side. You don't want to run single file to stripe, and then you look back on it, and you don't really see the own logic in your own idea. I really think that these guys have got that strategy down pat. But looking at the bigger picture, that although this is a 19-lap B main, the main event is 38 laps at Talladega. That's the one that pays the points. That's the one that pays the ticket to the championship, and as well as the hardware. So really, the top 7 real good right now. We talked about Daniel Ferguson and Tommy Hall. Well, they have slid way back. They were just trailing onto the end of our leaders. They're now 2.3 seconds back, and find themselves right with another group of cars. The 22 of Ron Thompson and the 27 of Matt Pelletier are going to get up the top 10 running positions as they have been working masterfully together up on the outside lane. Make it a 6-car fight. How about that for 8th position all the way through to 13th there. It looks like Ramon Evans, Michael Lathrop, a little bit further back. They're still good transfer position-wise. 14th and 15th, 3.5 off of our leaders. 16th position and 17th position. This is where it's going to get fun. Rod Mitten is in. The guy pushing him is out. Expect that M&M's Toyota Camry of Jimmy Todd to step out of line and try to do something, because you got some big names back here. How about this? Jimmy Todd, Kent Connolly, Austin Carver, Shane McEachin, Dan Harrington, Karsten Giantommaso. A lot of those drivers are regulars here, and you could see a pretty major player not get into this because there's such big names outside of what the current transfer spot is of guaranteed in at 16th position. Chris Bassini still leads this race in the Shell Pennzoil Platinum Chevrolet. He's up front in front of the Bud Light Platinum entry of Corey Henry, Haggerty, Ball. You got Giratano, Turner, and Mann. The top 7 cars remain intertwined, less than 1/2 of a second off of each other at the front of the field at Talladega. And so far, they're doing exactly what they need to do to survive, to get into that feature race number 6, 38 laps, coming up in just a few moments' time after the conclusion of this one. That time by 3 laps to go at Talladega to settle who makes the field and settle who walks away as well with the checkered flag in our B main. Keeping tabs on the transfer position as we continue to look back here in 16th, back up to first. It is still held by Rod Mitten. He is in a very interesting spot because the 18 leaves him and somebody goes with him. Forget about it. He's gone. But Jimmy Todd has to hang on there to that 92 because if he tries to make a move, and Kent Connolly and, everybody behind him, Austin Carver as well, can't forget about that car who's in this as well. They all need a fight for one spot. That's what they're going for here. They make a move and the 18 goes up and nobody else goes with them. It's equally as risky as the same thing that Ron Mitten would do. So the 92 car sitting down, and it's calming now, but 2 laps to go now at Talladega. I can guarantee you that he is looking out the rear view mirror of that race car. Meanwhile, up front, Chris Passini, he's chasing down a checkered flag in this. Karsten Gijon Tommaso has fallen off of the lead lap. You saw our leaders. They weren't able to get around him. He is now 1 lap down. So if somebody is to have issues, you can fall all the way back to 21st position because of the fact that some of the cars are still on the lead lap. Passini, Henry, Haggerty, the top 3. That battle for the transfer still sits in favor of Rod Mitten. He's trailed by Todd, Connolly, and Carver. We got the top 3 going at it, top 7 in reality. We got these back 4 going at it. White flag, 2.66 miles to go at Talladega to determine your A main field for feature race number 6. Passini in the lead. The Pennzoil car has been up front after starting in second pretty much the majority of this entire race. So work around some more lap traffic. Now we're going to get some action. The 23 car, Jared Haggerty, jumps to the outside lane. The 48 car trailing, that's Josh Ball. Side by side, 2 rows deep for the top spot here at Talladega. Can they get there? The 2 now, Kiratano. He'll work with the inside line. It's 3 versus 2. Does Sean Turner and Tanner Mann do anything? The race to the checkered flag. They'll be side by side, inside with the advantage. One last push, going to come up short. Contact with 2 in the 48. Nobody's wrecking yet. They make it to the stripe. Chris Passini wins it. The battle for the transfer spot is on. The 92 car is good. Rod Mitten, they're side by side behind him. Kent Connolly, one last push, going to come up short. And no changes from the white flag to the checker. Chris Passini wins it. And somehow, after contact, Rod Mitten, the 92 who was 16th position, he's able to steal 14th, 15th to Kent Connolly, and Jimmy Todd. After contact off of the top spot, we watched the leaders, we watched the transfer spot, but we had trouble. Ramon Evans and Ron Thompson take them out of this race, and Connolly and Todd will steal those final 2 lock-in positions after trouble. 2 cars, we'll try to get a replay up on this, the 83 and the 86 on lap number 19 coming to the checkered flag. 2 cars, they're in. You talk about the risks of pushing in the corner. Incidental contact takes the 83 car of Ramon Evans out of this race. Lathrop still limps home to 12. Ramon Evans comes home 18th, and not enough. He'll have to hope that his points are in his favor. He and Ron Thompson crashed. You'll look at the replay right now. No trouble for the top spot, no trouble for the initial transfer, but somehow trouble strikes these guys, and when it's not your night, it's not your night. An extremely unfortunate incident. 3 drivers, 2 of which will fall out of the transfer positions, and they're going to have to try to get that provisional as an update. And you take a look, Passini has burned it down. You've seen the contact. A 31 car walks away. He takes home the bragging rights of winning the B main. He takes home the right to go to the A main, but no hardware, no points have been dished out quite yet. We're going to step away from the microphones for just a little bit. We'll come back at you when that ticker changes from 19 to 38. The A main for feature race 6 from Talladega at EISuperspeedway.com Racing Series Season 4 on LSRTV, just on the other side.
Here's the thing that makes life so interesting. The theory of evolution claims only the strong shall survive. Maybe so. Maybe so. But the theory of competition says just because they're the strong doesn't mean they can't get their asses kicked. That's right. See, what every long shot come from behind underdog will tell you is this. The other guy may in fact be the favorite. The odds may be stacked against you, fair enough. But what the odds don't know is this isn't a math test. This is a completely different kind of test. One where passion has a funny way of trumping logic. So before you step up to the starting line, before the whistle blows and the clock starts ticking, just remember, out here, the results don't always add up. No matter what the stats may say, and the experts may think, and the commentators may have predicted, when the race is on, all bets are off. Don't be surprised if somebody decides to flip the script and take a pass on yelling uncle. And then suddenly, as the old saying goes, we got ourselves a game.
Back live at the Talladega Superspeedway on LSRTV. It's A-Main time for feature race 6 in the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Season 4. As always, Friday evenings on LSRTV. Up in a booth this evening alongside myself, Evan Pasoko, Laura Lawson's in the production hall are pushing the buttons. It is time to go racing after a B-Main that went caution-free. We have set our 29-car grid to go at it with a winner sticker, a trip to the championship, and the hardware, as always, on the line. We're glad to have you with us. Let's give you the full field rundown. Brandon Chaburko will start on pole position. He looks to go to back-to-back trips to victory lane. Seth the Merchant will grid up in P2 on the outside of row number 1. In P3 is going to be Jason Altman's 4th position. We'll go to Josh Hanner. 5th position is Robbie Roy. And 6th to Joshua Williams. Row 4 is 7th position, the 20 of Matt Bontempi. Outside in 8th, the 26 of Rod Flagg. Right now with the 2nd, going to be inside row 5 in P9. Rounding out your top 10 is Larry Camp. Greg Hooks will be 11th, 12th position to Richard Holiday. Those are the drivers that qualified in prior to the B-Main. Now, basically the rest of the field in the B-Main results, you can call it. Chris Passini looking to do something that nobody else has ever done, is win a B-Main and win the A-Main back-to-back on the same night. He'll start in the unlucky, or could this case be the lucky, 13th position in the 31 car. Jared Haggerty will start alongside in 14th. 15th to Corey Henry, Donnie Giratano in 16th, 7th to Josh Ball, and 18th to Sean Turner. Tanner Mann will grid up in 19th, rounding out your top 20 outside on row 10, the 8 of Dana Osborne. Mark Brown in 21st, 22nd, Daniel Ferguson, Tommy Hall in 23rd, 24th to Michael Lathrop, Matt Pelletier in 25th, 26th to Ron Minton, Kent Connolly 27th, 28th to Jimmy Todd, and our provisional, after being in an incident on the white flag lap, Ron Thompson will make the show. 29 cars and 15 rows deep from Talladega as we get set to go at it for the 6th time in the Season 4 Championship. Feature race 6 from Talladega. 38 laps on tap around this 2.66 mile superspeedway that's located in Talladega County, Alabama, has a capacity crowd of 80,000 race fans that can pack in here. It's owned and operated by the ISC, the International Speedway Corporation. Broke ground 46 years ago and opened in 1969, 45 years ago, for a construction cost of $4 million at the time. It was designed by William France Sr. and was formerly known as the Alabama International Motor Speedway. 1 and 2 has 33 degrees of banking, and 32 and 32.5 in 3 and 4. 16 at a trial. Major things to note, we have a whole extra lane on the outside than we did 1 week ago. And the start-finish line, well, it's about 200 yards past where it is in Daytona. We're set to go A-main action, and again, we're so glad to have you with us. Brandon Chubhart Chiburko looks to go back-to-back. He looks to also put $35 in the pocket. You can see those I-5 drivers via the orange lettering and the orange rims. Green flag is out, and we race to corner 1. All 29 strong cycle through 1 and 2 for the first time this evening, and they'll come roaring off of 2. 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside that lead this field. The outside charge led by number 32, Axe Machine, the Energizer Chevrolet. That is Seth the Merchant. He's got help. One of the Hannerick cars, the 24, up there on the outside. That is Josh Hanna. We see those orange numbers and the orange rims on both the 3 and the 24. Joining them are Donnie Giratano, Matt Bontempi, and Corey Henry, our top 5 from 1 week ago. If one of those drivers puts it into victory lane, he will win $35 cash bonus on top of the hardware that they're already guaranteed. And the 24, Josh Hanna, determined that now is not quite the time to go for that checkered flag yet. He'll dive down in line. That leaves Seth the Merchant out to dry, and looks like Hanna may be trying to let Seth get in line. He does. That's going to force some people behind him to not sit around and wait to the outside. Joshua Williams, the FedEx Express car, goes to the outside, down to 32. As Seth goes up to use that run, it forces the 11 to the inside. Henry gets pushed below the line, and now 3 wide and 3. The car that ends up the odd man out, the 33 Skull Bandit of Larry Camp, trying to get in line. Richard Holiday will finally let off that Big Block Motorsports Bullring Racing Chevrolet. Is going to let that 33 in line in front of him. A little bit of checkup from his teammate Jared Haggerty behind him, and everything is good. Now the 20 car of Matt Bontempi, already a lot more action than our B-mate. He came down to the inside over the 24. Now back up in front of the 14 of Robbie Roy. Things are getting quite exciting down in the corner, and you see that the inside is the place to be at the moment, because Chiburko with a 2-car length advantage, but we will see these constant spurts of a run on the outside by a handful of drivers. Right now, DeMerchant, who was just on the inside, now has help from the 20. How about the DeWalt entry, that Toyota Camry with Matt Bontempi up by the outside lane. So far, everybody in the top 10 started there. No big movers quite yet. Typically, see somebody like a Chiburko working with the usual drafting partner, start deep in the pack, and he's forced to go into the main and start flying up. But despite all the action, everybody, if you look at the numbers, still kind of sitting relatively where they started. Only thing that changes that time, Seth the Merchant with a nose at the start-finish line. Chiburko, though, the inside going to have the better place to be. He'll make the run on the inside. The outside has more cars than the inside, and just as we say that, Joshua Williams drops back in line. You see Chiburko trying to get that side draft. It's interesting because 2 cars works. That's the 2-car tandem. That's been a staple when you're out here on these super speedway racetracks. When you get a lot of guys up there on the outside to help you, that's when things can get really good, because you're able to build consistently more momentum. Now the 20, you see he had people up there, he had friends, was doing good. Now that everybody's dived down to the inside, Matt Bontempi, well, stranded up on the outside. He slides all the way back, and you see everybody, they kind of snake down that front straightaway, trying to follow the 32 of Seth the Merchant. He was trying to shut the door on Chiburko, which can't really throw a block. We'll just say he tried to adjust his line, did not work. And now Chiburko's going to be working with my Best Buy entry, Jason Altman's up on the high side. Those 2 cars going to get a rate run at a quarter number 2, and they will get the job done. They'll slide in line, and now the 3 and the 51 cars will go to the point. Check up now in the middle of the pack, and you can see why a huge swarm of cars around P10, 5 of them up on the outside lane. They're led by that 20 machine, the 14, the 33, the 03, all in tail there, as well as the 5. That's another Hannerick entry of Tanner Mann, who likes to go to the inside. You'll see the outside. Inside's good by 4 car lengths now. 2 laps from now, the outside's going to be pretty much one neck and neck with Chiburko, and 2 laps after that, they'll slide back. It's just the way you got to work the draft in this. You see the 20 and the 14, interesting move. You know they're teammates, you know they're going to work together, but they're leaving that 24 machine. Could have used Josh Hanner. Instead, they want to get the job done on their own, and it works good. Jumps high on quarter exit, gets going, and now they're going to hop skip over the 24, and here comes the 20. Matt Bontempi with help from his teammate, the number 14 car. Robbie Roy following him through very quickly as we work lap number 6. 38 so far here at Talladega in our A main action. They are working great up on the outside lane. Chaburko working with the 51 of Altman's. That's a Chevy and a Ford tandem. The outside charge is a Toyota and a Chevy tandem. Seems like the manufacturers don't get along too very well. You got Seth the Merchant in a Chevy. He's working with the Toyota of Joshua Williams. Ron Flagg is coming up through the field into number 26. That's a Ford. He's working with Ray Rittenauer in that number 21 car, who's as well a Ford. But now the top 6 as we go 3 wide, make it almost 4 wide. Look at that, DeMerchant to the inside, 3 wide, and Chaburko will go from sitting comfortably on the top spot to up in no man's land, and he is sliding back. He went up, he did the same thing that Seth DeMerchant tried to do to him, and that was kind of cut off that lane. Did not work, and an aggressive move on behalf of Seth to the inside, forced Chaburko out to the outside. He's thankful that there's a gap between that first and second pack because he's able to get in line behind Ray Rittenauer in P8. Could have been significantly worse if he slid further and further back in this one, but you still see the 51 and the 11. They work on the outside line after DeMerchant Roy have now dumped down to the inside. Matt Bontempi leads at Talladega after starting in 7th position. Our pole sitter, Brandon Chaburko, just went to the back, and don't expect him to sit around there for much longer. He's working with the Skull Bandit car, Larry Camp, trying to get some good luck going into this event at Talladega. He's coming off of a couple of rough finishes and looking for a good showing to that team. He was able to qualify in without having to go through the B main. Good start to Heaves evening, but would evidently like to walk away in victory lane. So far, everybody is still in the lead trap with the exception of 2 cars, all the way through 27, separated by just 1.6 seconds. 2 guys hanging back. Jimmy Todd is 28th, and 29th is Ken Connolly. They are well back of this, 5.4 seconds off of the top spot, and they are staying out of the way in case something happens, because you take a look at how massive this lead pack is as we continue to give the shots at them. You can see everybody through. If something happens, it can be very big, and it can happen very quickly. How about almost 3 wide for the top spot? The 11 and the 51 got staggered a little bit as Bontempi slid up the hill a little bit. That's going to separate things out just for a moment up the front of the field. The 51 and the 11 continue to work on the outside. Inside is still Bontempi. You got the 14 machine of Roy. It's at the Merchant. The 26 of Ron Flagg, the 21 car. Here comes now the 24 of Josh Hander. He got left by those 2 gentlemen up on the outside of the front row there, and he was the leading car on the outside train. He wants Chaburko to work with him, but the 3 machine of Chaburko, they have different plans. Took a look to the outside, that time down the front right now. He stays in line as they work on a racetrack right now. Behind him, the 33, you have the 03 machine as well. And now, once again, we go side by side, almost 8-9 rows deep. The corners 3 and 4. We talked about how calm things were when we were racing in our B main. This is anything but it. Below the single file, there's a lot of jostling around. There's a lot of air kicking you around, and it is not the best place to be. Chaburko again to the outside, this time by choice. Does it work? We'll have help. The 33 car going to go with them. Can the Skull Bandit machine work with the Goodwrench Chevrolet? Get the job done. They have less cars. I've said that more cars equals more speed. Looks like it's not working, at least now, as they head into quarter number 1. Now down off of 2, Chaburko sliding back. Now 2 car lengths. Now 3 car lengths, failing to the middle lane. Josh Hander's now going to get around him, and the 33 can't get to him. Larry Camp, he knows that Chaburko's got the side draft. Camp doesn't, so he's not able to get to him. Contact! The 3 Chaburko, 86, they're bouncing off each other hard into the outside wall. Big wreck. Larry Camp turned around as well. Now Chaburko is in the outside wall. The 92 car in it also. Rod Mitten, caution, fly from Talladega after that contact down in 3 and 4. It all started with a small movement from the 23, I want to say, down in the corner. It was Jared Haggerty who initiated the contact, came up ever so slightly, and what he did was he got into the 86 car of Michael Lathrop. Replays now, you see Lathrop gets into Chaburko, saves it once, get together, saves it twice, and eventually Lathrop overcorrected up the hill and a huge impact in the wall, took the 33 car out, and then Chaburko got turned sideways when that car went back up the hill yet again. Chaburko then finds himself sideways with guys 3-4 wide trying to cycle around him, And for the most part, a lot of them got away with it, but about 3-4 cars going to pick up additional damage. We'll call it an 8-car incident at Talladega. First time under caution all night comes at lap 11. It's A-main action, and as we get our first yellow, we will take ours as well. Step away for a quick commercial break. You're watching the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series Season 4, on LSRTV. Feature Race 6. Going into this a third of the way through from Talladega. A lot more action coming up.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The Irish.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Caution lights are off on top of the iRacing.com Ford First Mustang pace car from Talladega Superspeedway for feature race 6 on a Season 4 championship for the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. Working under our first and really only caution flag we've seen all evening after a very unprecedentedly calm B main till the white flag saw it at usual fireworks, but it still went all the way through without a single caution. Now working under our first, and it was a relatively big one down in 3 and 4. Trouble striking in the middle of the pack at a 3-wide fight, slowing us down. We do get set to go back at it, and this restart going to be coming up with 24 laps to go from Talladega. In our 38-lap main event, the B-main was 19. Coming up on the future for the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series schedule on LSRTV. In 1 week's time, the debut of the Daytona Circa 07 track. That's Daytona pre-repave, very rough, and say very excited. Make sure you're in for that one in next Friday night. In the week following, our feature race number 2, the stars fell on Alabama 250, right back here at Talladega for 94 laps, followed up by, yet again, back-to-back Daytona for feature race 9, and then we're off for Memorial Week. That's a quick look ahead of what's upcoming with iSuperspeedway.com. If you want to find out about everything else that we broadcast at LSRTV, go to livesimracing.com or facebook.com/livesimracingtv. Roy will be on the outside of the front row with his teammate Bob Tedby to the inside. The DeWalt Toyota going to be in control of this field. Behind them, two cars that have been working together. Jason Altman, Seth the Merchant. Continuing on through, rounding out your top 5 is Josh Hayner. Pace car is down and away. We get set for our first American Ethanol restart this evening from Talladega. 14 car inching further and further ahead on the outside line. Green flag flies, the 20's on the loud pedal. We're back at it and neck at the start-finish line. You go down now to corner number 1. The outside has that small advantage, but again, to the inside, the 20 car has a small advantage when they dive to the corner. 51 pushing him now off of corner number 2. The 32 is Seth the Merchant, you can see, trying to stay on the back of Robbie Roy. And now he'll duck in line. He'll scratch that. Forget about it. To the inside. Second time tonight we've seen Seth the Merchant. That guy at least think he wants to help him, and then duck to the inside and won't leave him out to dry. He'll be able to get that spot, and unlike now, the 14 doesn't have anywhere to go but forward. Good news for him, an affiliate car right behind him, the Bull Ring Racing Chevy of that 03 Richard Holiday. Gonna get on the back bumper. He'll give him assist, and no contact at 24. Hanging on across the start-finish line after he got into Richard Holiday. Very similar to how that first incident started. They brought in a caution flag after Haggerty pushed up. It is so difficult to hold it down on the yellow line. When you see how close that 24 is to the back of Seth the Merchant, you kind of step on the line, want to get a sense of where you are on track. And you look that slightest bit when everybody on the outside is really trying to get that side draft, which has been escalated or multiplied, whatever you want to call it, since this new draft was implemented. They're going to be pinching him down more and more. Maybe not in early stages, but we close in on the halfway point in this race. We continue to go forward. You're going to start pinching more and more, and you get that much closer, and continue to see the contact. You see the 03 has some minor left side damage. Does not look like it's going to affect him aerodynamically. However, one of the big movers, though, Greg Hooks, is 11th position on the start of this race. He's up to 6th right now with the assist from Corey Henry, who equally in his own right is doing good. That 25 in the positive by 8 after starting in 15th position. He's up to 7th. The biggest mover, though, is Richard Holiday at the front of the field, up 9 to get to where he sits in 3rd after starting in 12th. He works with Roy. Oatmans works with Bon Tempe. 2 sets of 2 lead this field to 3. So far, only 2 cars are off for the lead lap here at Talladega. 27 of them are on the lead lap, and the last car on the lead lap is the 22 of Ron Thompson. Michael Lathrop is 1 lap down, so is Larry Camp. They sit 2 cars apart on the racetrack, and it could be a very important battle, although it's not featured a lot. The fact that whoever is in that first lap down spot, if we are to get another caution in this feature A main event, would be able to get the wave around. They would rejoin everybody else on the lead lap, and you just got to be on track, really, to be in contention at these plate track races. You see Bon Tempe swings wide, and almost to the point that he actually got a little bit sideways that time off the corner, holding to hold up that 14 Robbie Roy, who is still up there. Teammate cars as well. The 03 in this mix, the BBM shop, doing a really good job up the front of this field, at least at the moment. Now that the outside no longer has 3-4 cars in line as they did a lap ago, they start to go backwards. Does Altman's want to jump out? The 51 thought about it, or he slid up a little bit. Bobby Roy checked up for him, and the inside now in the lead by 2 car lengths. Back to the side-by-side battle for 3rd. Check up in the middle of the pack. Jared Haggerty letting everybody know, and we spread out 3 wide around P12. But Ken Traburgo said it when he was at the front of the field. He said that he did a good job of qualifying into this on pole. We typically see him back to the pack making 3 wide moves, trying to get through. Now that that good wrench machine is outside of the top 10, I have a feeling that's exactly what we're only going to continue to see throughout the evening. The top 2 that were all stranded have now slid back and got some support. The 98, the 25, the 11, and the 3 stacking up, making a 6-car train on the high side. And once you get a little bit more assistance, look at the run they get. Even though the 14 and the 03 aren't necessarily pushing, you get a couple of cars behind them, and that support can get you right back up there fighting for the lead. Seth the Merchant has to sit patiently right now because he can't do anything after going to the inside. Inside is where you sit and wait, and the right lane's the passing lane. It's the opposite of if you're running on a freeway. Roy leads the outside charge. He's down 2 car lengths to the inside still. That's been a common denominator. One thing I've been surprised about, the 24 of Josh Hanner out of that Hannerick camp that's always so strong. It's been kind of lonely. Has not had a lot of team assistance. 48 of Josh Ball's way back. The 5's way back there as well. And the 88 machine is not here this evening. So he's almost having to carry that flagship by himself. And you're starting to see a lot of the I-5 drivers, and it's very hard to do, to be consistent week in and week out at a plate track, let alone be top 5s week in and week out. But for those that aren't familiar, the I-5 bonus goes that if you get a top 5 finish the previous week, put it in victory lane the following race, you get a $5 bonus. If nobody's able to do so, it gets added $5 every week. Well, so far, Brandon Chaburko, the old-time leader as far as getting the most out of that, an $80 bonus after we went essentially all the way through 16 races without having anybody win that I-5 bonus. Right now we sit at 35. Talked about it earlier. It is Donnie Giratano, Chaburko, Bontempi, Josh Hanner, and Corey Henry, the drivers eligible. Easy way to spot them, those orange numbers and the orange rims. You see it on Bontempi. He's at the front of the field. Hanner's in the top 10 spot as well. Big fight going on for P9. It's the 98 of Greg Cooks. He gets forced out of line as the 11. Joshua Williams with an aggressive move to the inside. Chaburko and the 8 machine of Dana Osborne in tow, and everybody going to slide on through. And a similar situation to what we saw happen to Chaburko earlier is now going to unfortunately go to Greg Cooks because that Aaron's Dream Machine car going the wrong direction. Up front, it is still Robbie Roy fighting with Matt Bontempi. Roy had a nose by 8/1000ths the last time by the start-finish line. You can see the constant running order on your ticker just above. He had it at the stripe. You didn't clear him. You don't need to clear somebody to win a race. All you got to do is have just that. However, you see, again, the common denominator is that when the outside stops moving, it's because they run out of cars. Just the 14 and the 03. Till you get back to the 11 and the 3, doing it old school style by themselves. Williams, Chaburko, going to pass the 23 of Jared Haggerty. As opposed to staying in line with working with him, just went around him. Worked perfectly. They now slot into line in what would be his spot. We got trouble in the back of the pack now, and Warner number 1, and trouble for the 27. Hard hit. Matt Pelletier is into the outside wall after the 33 got turned by the 31. It was a huge lick for the 27 car. Big trouble in corner 1. 2 cars up and over, and now caution flag flies. Chris Passini is on his lid, sliding on the apron down in corner number 1. Caution flag is out. Not, the trouble happens, and once they ended up on their lid, the sim was able to trigger that. But caution will slow things down after a pretty big incident down in the corner number 1. And again, it's funny because the contact that we had actually seen was not initially from people that were sitting inside of, the top 15 that were side by side and tightly packed. It was a 3-wide battle, and the replay will be up shortly on what really all went down there. But you get 3 wide, and you're taking a look at it now. Passini in the middle, and he just comes up and hits the 33 car. And, if you're the 33, you can argue, Larry Camp, that, hey, Passini should have been lower. He did have a little bit of room, at least a car length of gap to the inside. But nonetheless, they made contact. And then they were fine. Passini, though, smacks the wall, got hit by that 33, and in a spectacular fashion, ends up nose first in the air down into corner number 2. A heavy incident that slows us down for the second time tonight. So we've only seen 2 yellows, but when they wreck big. And this time it was Chris Passini who ended up on his lid down in corners number 1 and 2. We're past the halfway point. Let's give you a mid-race break. I'll let you know where everybody starts. Pitting is not necessarily going to be a factor fuel strategy-wise. I'm sure pit lane will be busy once again. We got a couple of teams that they weren't already forced down by a tow because their cars were unable to make it back to the pit lane under power. They've definitely driven down there to try to get those things fixed. You run out of quick fixes, you're going to be out of luck very quickly. One driver that is using theirs to their advantage is Jared Haggerty. Was in an incident earlier on, caused an incident early on, and he sits right now in 9th after starting in 14th. The mid-race break going all the way through, all 29 competing cars this evening. It's Robbie Roy. He had that nose at the stripe, didn't say he needed to clear him. Well, caution flies at an opportune time. He'll lead this race back to the green flag on our next restart. Matt Bontempi then slides back to second. It's a third for Jason Oltmans and a fourth to Richard Holliday. Joshua Williams sits fifth right now at sixth position to the man that sat outside pole on the start, Seth the Merchant. Pole sitter Chaburko, he's back up in P7. Eighth position to the 24 of Josh Hanner. Jared Haggerty up 5 from 14th. He sits ninth, and rounding out your top 10 is Rod Flagg. Ray right now with the second, sits 11th in a car that is up 8 spots. The Do Shine, one of the fan favorites, Dana Osborne, is in 12th. 13th position to Donnie Giratano. 14th and up 12, Rod Mitt with a good improvement throughout the evening. Sean Turner is 15th. 16th is Mark Brown. Tommy Hall is 17th. 18th to Kent Connolly. Josh Ball is 19th. And 20th is Jimmy Todd. Tanner Mann 21st. 22nd is Daniel Ferguson. Corey Henry 23rd. 24th Greg Hooks. Michael Lathrop in 25th. Those are all the lead lap cars that find themselves in some issues so far tonight. Matt Pelletier scored 26th lucky dog spot. That car was just taken behind the wall. His night is done. That will move Chris Passini up from what is currently 27th to 26th. If he rolls, that car is sitting on the pit lane after being upside down in 1 and 2. He is out just now exiting that number 31 Chevy. Crew's taking a look at it, but he is headed behind the wall, so it looks like Chris Passini will as well be done. Ron Thompson, that machine on pit lane without a driver. He's now behind the wheel. They're trying to get it fired. He would be a shoo-in for a wave around if he's able to do anything with it, but everybody that's on pit road is severely crippled. Larry Camp, 2 laps down. He's on the pit lane. He's damaged as well, and for all intended purposes is out of this competition. So everybody on the lead lap is in it. Everybody that's off the lead lap is out of it. Makes the math easy. 25 of 29 of these guys are still able to race this one out. You talk about Robbie Roy, you talk about that whole BBM team, Matt Bontempi, Richard Holliday, a lot of them up there inside of the top 4 as they run right now. They've been so strong, and a lot of them have not seen the results that they've wanted. If you win, you're in. That's one of the series rules that was implemented 1 season ago for this championship. The big thing that's changing this year is that championship, because we are now going to be seeing elimination rounds. 2 races, cut down our chase drivers to 6, 2 more, cut them down to 3, and it's a winner-take-all final one at Daytona when it comes down to that championship. That's still much later on in 2015. Let's let you know who's already punched their ticket into the iSuper Chase. How about the man that swept Speed Weeks? If those of you that did not hear that story, it was Rodney Wofford. Only the duel and the 500 are going to count as wins that are eligible for Chase contingency, but he won the shootout race, essentially the Sprint Unlimited. He won his dual qualifier and the most prestigious event in iSuper Speedway, the iSuperspeedway.com 500K, sweeping the weekend and taking 3 checkered flags back to back to back. Elliott Leach also won his respective duel, so he got into the championship. Seth the Merchant won 2 weeks ago in feature event number 4. And then 1 week ago, we mentioned our pole sitter this evening, looking to make it back-to-back trips to victory lane, Brandon Chaburko, taking home feature race 5. So far, 4 drivers are in the top 5 in championship points, and race winners highest in points are eligible to run in our IROC championship, which we'll see return in 2 weeks' time. Not covered live, but we'll make sure to mention how that championship goes. That's when these guys come out here. They run before all 4 of our feature events, our endurance races, which are the longer than the A main and the B main events. They go out there in the old COTs, fight for a separate points championship, and that one is always indeed exciting to watch. The way you qualify for the iSuper Chase, all winners in the 13 points main events, plus any drivers that are sitting top 5 overall championships that may not have a win, are also invited into the championship. So in reality, you could have 13 plus, if everybody in the top 5 doesn't have a win, you could have 18 drivers in it. We've already seen, though, a 2-time winner this year in that Wofford camp, and we expect those multi-time winners from the likes of Chaburko and some of the dominant figures here at ISS to continue those runs. But again, these plate tracks, as the lights are off of the pace car, are always such toss-ups that it's very difficult to come here like you would at a track like a Las Vegas or a Richmond throughout a normal, a Cup Series themed schedule and be competitive, because there's so much unpredictability. You take a look at some of these guys up front, they're damaged. That 20 machine, a little bit of front end damage. The 51 car, although he is driving a Ford, and the front of those things do, look very flat because of that big grill on him. He does have front end damage. The question is, how much would that affect the Jason Oltmans My Best Buy entry? He'll be 3rd. Or this one behind him is that FedEx Express machine we've talked about, Seth the Merchant. He will be 6th. And Is this going to be the final time that we drop the green flag? It's our second American Ethanol restart from Talladega, working under our second caution of the evening in the 14 of Robbie Roy. After fighting on the outside, he got what he was going for. He'll be the control car. The pace car takes the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of pit lane to let these guys be unleashed. There goes the pace car. Robbie Roy again going to cycle through the tri-oval. Start-finish line significantly further down the front straightaway than it is at Daytona. Take us out of the tri-oval. Green flag flies. We're back at it. 10 laps to go at Talladega to determine who walks away with feature race number 6 on this 2015 Season 4 Championship campaign, 2 abreast through 1 and 2. You see the 51er Jason Altman spitting some fire out of the right side of that car as he gets up through the gears. The 20 machine up on the outside again, working with that damage that we mentioned. The left front on that car not looking all that good. Look at the aggressive move, shooting out to the outside. The 51 car wants some help. He'll get the push from the DeWalt Toyota, but they don't make the move early enough to really challenge. By the time they get down to quarter number 3, it's going to be side by side, a top 6 pull away out of 4. '51, and it'll work out in the long run, and much like we saw at the start of it, not gonna hang out for the guy that pushed him to get in line. And Jason Altman's just telling the 20 it is what it is. He can't do anything about it. It's something that we struggle to comprehend. Who can you trust? Because we've talked about how we have a legitimate team championship standings now. 1 season ago, you could have a team with unlimited drivers. Now they're capped at 4, and there are team championship points that are tracked throughout every race and throughout the entire season. Entering this, it's Wicked Motorsports, the Set the Merchant gang, that leads that by 9 over Hannerick and 45 over Big Block inside of the top 3. Besides your teammates, can you trust anybody? The 2 guys that have been working good together, well, they turn on each other though. The 11 and the 3, they followed each other up to the field from being outside of the top 10, and now they're fighting for the lead. The 51 left his partner, and the 11 leave his. Chaburko pushing for all it's worth on the back bumper of the FedEx.com Toyota Camry of Joshua Williams. The 11 car with the nose at the start-finish line. It's a top 4 breakaway. You can tell that they are significantly getting more aggressive now that we're in the final 10 laps of this race, because earlier on, the top guys get away a little bit, the field's going to catch them. Now that they are relentlessly pushing, they're able to hold that gap a little bit longer. Will it maintain? Don't think so, because look at 5th on back. The Merchant leads the outside, Bontempi leads the inside, and they have plenty of assistance behind them, giving them the push through corners 3 and 4. Every single person on the lead lap is in the lead draft, separated by just 1.3 seconds. That is less than the amount of time that it's spread out from the fastest car in qualifying than the slowest. And there you go, big trouble, Brandon Chaburko. I said that he was pushing as hard as he could, and a heartbreak for the Good Red Service Plus team. He dives down to the apron and thankfully avoiding a major incident, but he was pushing the 11. The gauges started to blink when he went through the travel. You saw immediately he backed out of it, and then smoke pours out of that machine. Quickly dove down to the inside, and Brandon Chaburko now coasts down the back straightaway, hoping that there is a caution on this lap so that he can coast to the pit lane and stay in it. The 03 car now, the one going backwards. Richard Holiday to the 3rd lane, jumps in line in front of the 92, and stops the bleeding after sliding all the way back to about Dana Osborne and outside of the top 12. He was 6th the last time by the start-finish line, and through all of that drama and the trouble for Chaburko, who again was giving it everything he had, trying to go to back-to-back checkered flags, he stayed green. And I talked about it, the top 4 pulled away and it wasn't going to last longer. Well, there you go, because everybody now sucking on up to him. Get this all the way through now. 24th position within 1 second. One of the biggest and tightest packs that we have seen all season long, and they're being clean about it so far. The outside now is the 11 of Williams. Can he still succeed without Chaburko? Because Chaburko has gone all the way through this entire field with him, pretty much this entire second half of the race to get them there. Now, it is a number 20 car behind him with minor front-end damage. Matt Bontempi is going to have to work with that FedEx Express machine. They're staying neck and neck, but an advantage to nobody. Side by side, 1, 2, 3, all the way to about 7 rows deep in that initial pack. More cars side by side, a little bit deeper in the pack. A couple of people on the outside trying to catch up to that main outside draft, but it is really now getting down to crunch time. We've reached a point in the race that if a caution flag flies, this race is going to end under caution flag race conditions because of the no green-white checkers in the iRacing service. If a caution flies within 4 laps to go, this race is over with, and unfortunately for Chaburko, who was hanging on for hope as he pulls into that number 1 pit stall, and all he's got now is a good view of the pack as they blow by him at 203 miles an hour, is 4 laps to go as we take lap number 35 of 38. And there's the caution. Well, just maybe a little bit too late. Cars blowing up and in the fence. We got trouble for the 21 of Ray Rittenauer II. He has turned around and the Reebok entry is torn up after Holiday, who was sliding back on the 3rd lane. We showed you the replay of it. Went to the high side again with the 92 car, and this time it did not work. And it looks like the 21 may have moved up a little bit, and nonetheless, mutual contact. It hooks Ray Rittenauer into the fence, and heavy contact for the Pittsburgh Penguins Reebok entry as he is all destroyed, and that Ford does a couple of silhouettes and lands on the apron in a heavy plume of black smoke. He'll try to get it going, but unfortunately for him and his Pittsburgh Rangers, as they did earlier this evening, it appears that he has been eliminated from competition. So now we slow them down and we say that if a caution flies within 4 laps or left, this race is done. There's a small chance that we do get maybe a 1-lap restart. We'll have to keep an eye on Jason Altmans. He has yet to catch the pace car. He is your race leader at the time of caution. And he'll catch up behind the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. It wasn't by a lot, and he lucked out because the last 2 times by, the 11 and the 20 were all over each other, coming to the stripe. They were right there, but it was a small miscommunication. The 20 Von Tempe got a little hot, backed off of the 11, and it was an exact moment that trouble struck behind back in the pack. Caution flag flew, and it put Jason Altmans in a position that if this race either ends under caution flag or he's able to maintain for maybe a very short shootout at the end of it all, he will qualify for the I-Super Chase with a win this evening. We'll have to keep an eye on the drivers here and listen to the driver radio, but it is going to be very close on this call. This time by 3 laps to go. Actually, this time by it's only going to be 2 laps to go with 38 laps in this event. So as long as the lights don't go off, this race is going to be official. And across the start and finish line, the lights will remain on. They are not extinguished. So 2 laps to go. It'll be a checkered and a yellow flag the next time Jason Altmans rounds to the start finish line. The My Best by Ford. As long as he can avoid incident under caution, which has not been the easiest thing to do. We have seen at times earlier in the season that drivers have issues, not for the lead, we've yet to have that, but either contact or obviously it's a sim, some sort of a connection issue or an electronic issue, booting you from the race. Still a possibility, and maybe that's what Joshua Williams is hoping for in the FedEx entry. That Toyota still sits second. Robbie Roy, who led us to the most recent and what would end up being the final American Ethanol restart in this one, he will have to settle for a 3rd. Von Tempe up there in 4th, and a 5th to Josh Hanner. DeMarchand is 6th, 7th. Haggerty Giratano is 8th, 9th to Rod Flagg, and Josh Ball is sitting right now in 10th position. Looks like the final tally will be 24 of them on the lead lap, and Richard Holiday coming over the radio and letting the drivers know, especially talking to the number 21 of Ray Rittenauer II, apologizing for that contact and taking the blame for it after he tried to make an outside move, which you have to expect coming down the 4 to go. He was inside the top 10, and if he was inside the top 10, would he have made said move? Probably not. But he had to slide back. He was able to find a spot on the line in 14th. He knew he had to go because equally as so, if he sat around and waited, there was a chance that somebody else wrecked and he was stranded. He went to make the move. All it took was very, very minor contact between those 2 drivers, and it sent them up into the outside wall, and again very quickly took the air out of 23 other drivers' hopes out of the 24 on the lead lap. The one that'll take it whichever way it comes and walk over the checkered flag in the hardware in this one. Jason Altmans 2.66 miles away from his first win on his 2015 Season 4 campaign. The My Best by Ford has 1 lap to go. As the white flag and the yellow wave simultaneously at Talladega. It's been an evening where the B-Main, which is the signature exciting and kind of a brawl race because you know that everybody's fighting for their lives, went caution-free, but it did not go without the drama. We saw contact around 12th position between guys that weren't really fighting with each other. Just a freak bumper hook in the corner sent 2 drivers outside of the top 16, outside of a transfer spot. Ron Thompson was forced to have to fall back and was thankfully enough to able to get a provisional. Not going to be able to do anything with it, though. He'll only be able to get a 23rd for the Miller High Life entry. Then we go to this A-Main. We see 2 big wrecks and then 1 final small incident. And it said that if that caution had come out coming out of 4 instead of going into 1, we would probably be talking about these guys racing into 3 right now, 3 wide on a white flag lap. But as soon as we got into that 4 to go window, caution flag flew. They had to circle around 1 additional time to catch the pace car, and it just did not allot enough time for these drivers to have the pit lane open for lead lappers, for lap cars, get a 1 to go, and get them set and go at it once again. So unfortunately, this race does end under yellow flag conditions. It's a season that it has a revamped championship format. There's rounds to go through, but one thing that that 51 team can do now is guarantee that they will at least be able to get a shot at it. And the streak continues. Nobody that has been able to win the B-Main is still unable to capitalize on an A-Main. Jason Altmans enters the tri-oval in this one, a driver that is now going to join 4 others in the iSuper Chase. He wins it this evening. Feature race number 6 from the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series at Talladega Superspeedway. He started in 3rd. He'll finish atop the podium, checkered in yellow at the same time. Give it to Jason Altmans as he celebrates his berth in the championship. A little bit of a congratulatory bump and shove there. Takes him out as his buddy, as Jason Altmans will win this one. And that My Best Buy Ford Fusion is victorious here tonight. And that's now our 5th driver that you can punch that ticket and guarantee that he'll be there in the chase. We're going to step away for our final commercial break on our coverage with LSRTV. Stay tuned because the post-race show coming up. We'll talk to Altmans, get his thoughts rolling forward, and then we'll see you at Daytona next week for the Circa 07 Circuit post-race show on LSRTV. Coming right up.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Back live with the LSRTV post-race show from Lincoln, Alabama. The Talladega Superspeedway is now quiet after round 6, feature race 6 for the Season 4 championship with the iSuperspeedway.com racing series around this 2.66 mile superspeedway. 38 laps later, 2-3 cautions later, and a yellow and a checker at the same time. And we're down in Gatorade Victory Lane, punching his ticket into the championship. Jason Altmans is your winner tonight. You started third, you finished first. We were talking about guys that were gonna. How you doing?
Dumping that Gatorade all over you, Evan.
This is gonna mess with my mic. We were talking about how guys who win B mains don't win A mains. So that proves true tonight because you started third, you win this. How much easier does it make it when you start that far up as opposed to being back in that crapshoot?
That's it, seriously. Like, I made the freaking dash for cash for the first time in about a year, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I actually stand a chance to win one of these things since you don't have to sit there and fight so much.
Well, it worked out exactly according to that plan, and it worked very well. We saw a lot of going on. We saw guys like Chaburko. They'd be up there with you guys at the start. He'd drop back to 15th. We saw guys get in incidents. They'd go back to 17th, 20th position. They were able to get back up there. Their cars appeared strong. How good was this 51 car working up there at the front and working with the draft? Because it was quite exciting. A lot of 3-wide and lane shuffling going on throughout the evening. You kept it clean till had a little bit of help after the stripe, but it was clean to the checkers.
Are you implying that because I said that I need to start up front to be able to win one of these things and everybody else is able to make it to the front? You're saying something there, Evan? I don't understand what you're trying to go for there. You saying I'm a bad driver? You want to fight? No.
At the end of the day, you get a trophy and I don't. So.
That's true. No, I don't know what the heck happened. I looked behind me and people were saying that it's crazy, but I guess I was up at the front the entire time. I really had no idea what was going on. I don't think I dropped much further than maybe 5th or something like that. So.
And it makes the job a lot easier when you get up there and Best Buy getting all that TV time fighting up there at the front of this. You win this one. You're in the championship now. You get a trophy. And now the question is this going to be the only trophy you get on this season? You got a whole bunch more races now. We exit tonight, feature race 6. You go forward 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way 13 through before we hit chase time. You got nothing to lose now. Are we going to see a couple more exciting ones like this?
Well, this was my best car. North Star Motorsports is a very, very small team. We don't have a lot of cars in the stable. I don't know if you noticed, the 11 car decided to just wreck everything, so the boys are going to have a little bit of work.
You might be able to lend you a Toyota, but I don't know if
I've been taking engines from Henrik Motorsports for like 2 years, and Hot Wings Motorsports. I've been stealing stuff from them every once in a while. I think the Transport, is like Matt Bontempi's old one, so I don't know. We're just kind of piecing stuff together.
You pieced something together, and that was a win tonight. You roll forward. One of the things that at least we've been excited to look forward to up in the booth, it might not be that fun in it, but we're going to Daytona Circa 07 for the first time next week. What's the prediction going into that?
That's a driver's track, so you're going to have to throw some pure drivers up there. You get like a Brandon Chaburko, probably like a Rod Flag, Shane McEachin, Josh Hainer. Those guys are going to be up front. That's going to be pure driving up there, so I'm going to guess those guys.
It's going to be a very exciting race, as was tonight. Just 3 cautions total. It ended under yellow, but you got out front when you needed to at a late race restart. You capitalized, and you're in the chase. Sponsors and shout-outs, all the people you stole equipment from. Who makes it happen?
Everyone gets mad at me because I don't do these interviews in a certain voice that they're accustomed to. So, well, I really like to thank Best Buy. They've been on the car for a while, so I really appreciate that. There's a certain sponsor, Twisted Tea, 5% alcohol by volume, and enjoy responsibly. There's, of course, that. Matt Bontempi, he did a really good job pushing me up there, and I've been working real well with him lately. He's a good guy, and he's my favorite interview because he calls people a piece of trash, and that's fucking wonderful. Oop,
I missed that one, unfortunately.
Damn it, man. Other than that, my wife for allowing me to have a steering wheel on my desk. I'm going to keep saying that every single time since... yeah. That's all I got, Evan. Thank you very much.
That's a fair statement to say. It's been quiet besides myself talking to myself up here in the booth. Thanks for talking with us, Jason. Congratulations. Daytona next week, Circa 07. First off, I hope you have a chassis for that, and then if so, good luck.
No, I don't. See you later.
That is your winner tonight in the My Best Buy number 51 Ford. Keeping it light because he's happy. He's in the chase, and He gets one piece of trophy here after taking home our feature race 6, but now he knows that he can fight for the even bigger one at the end of the year. Congratulations to Jason Oltmans, Joshua Williams, and Robbie Roya throughout the top 3. We gave you pretty much a full field rundown there as we worked under the caution flag. As you see, the full results continue to scroll across the top of your screen. That does it. Feature race 6 is in the books. Next one is classified as a feature race, but it is one unlike any other. It's Daytona. It's circa 07. It's bumpy. It's like a short track, but it's 2.5 miles long. And we bid you good night from the Talladega Superspeedway on behalf of the broadcast crew this evening, executive producer Laura Lawson, myself, Emma Pizzoco. Congratulations once again to Jason Oltmans, and we will see you in Daytona for next week with the iSuperspeedway.com racing series. But tune in this Sunday. It's an LSRTV doubleheader. iCars and Cora, don't miss it.